Hi, I'm Brenda Winkle. I'm coming to you today to tell you a little story from my personal life and to read a relevant passage from my book, Empower Her, a memoir and map to recovering from domestic abuse. So as you know, it's December 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic continues to affect all of our lives and nothing looks the way that we thought it was going to look. My sister lives in Madison, Wisconsin, and I'm very close to her, my brother-in-law, my nieces, and we typically spend our holidays together. My daughter and my parents and I had been planning to fly to Madison to spend some time quarantining, then get tested, then quarantine while our test results came back, and then integrated with my sister and her family. We had planned that a while ago because the last time we saw one another was in December of 2019, just like so many of you. And we made the very difficult decision this week when we met for our family weekend call that that shouldn't happen. We decided that we felt like it was the most responsible and safest thing to delay that trip. And we had to really shift our thinking. There was a lot of grief around that decision. And I'm sure that you can relate because you're probably having similar conversations with your friends and family. And we had to switch our perspective. And I'll tell you how we shifted that perspective in just a moment. But I wanted to read to you from chapter 11. And in chapter 11 of the book, I'm talking about how we create a life that we love. And this is something that's relevant to everybody, whether or not you've experienced any kind of abuse. But for those people who do have a history of abuse, sometimes you can find yourself in a bit of a slump. And so let me just read a brief passage. We can each create a life that we love. It may not always feel like we have a choice, especially when you're in a rut or if things feel hard. We really may not have options in our circumstances, but we always have a choice in how we respond to the things that come our way. Owning that power is a significant step towards your own personal empowerment. It's easy to get stuck in negativity and into being a victim. Sometimes we tell ourselves we are stuck or that we don't have choices. This isn't true. Often we say we don't have a choice when we don't like all of our options. You do have a choice to quit a job you hate. You could quit before you have another job lined up. You probably chose not to do this because you might like to pay some bills between now and when you get the job lined up. When we're in a slump, and abused people can find themselves in a slump, and so can everyone else, incidentally, right now in COVID-19, it's easy to forget that we do have choices. If we aren't willing to choose the thing we don't want, that is to be without an income, for example, a way to change your energy around it is to remember that you're choosing to stay in the job to be able to pay your bills. That subtle shift can take you out of being a victim and help you stand in your power. I'm talking about this when I say that we can choose how to respond to our circumstances. Reminding ourselves that we're consciously choosing things helps. And that just feels relevant today because reminding ourselves that we are consciously and continually making choices helps. I didn't like having to choose not to go to Madison. I really wanted to be in Madison. I really wanted to see my sister and my brother-in-law and my nieces. We have decided that we are going to postpone getting together in person for a few more months in hopes that we can spend a few more years together without jeopardizing any of our health. If you hear that beeping, that is my sweet niece messaging me telling me that her joke book has come. I sent her a Christmas joke book. And as part of this choice, like we have a choice of how we're going to respond to all of the things that are around us right now. And if we start to tell ourselves we don't have a choice, it can feel really depressing, oppressive, and overwhelming. But remembering that we are making choices every day, even if we're choosing between two things we don't really like, we're still making choices. And so just remembering that and then turning it over to whatever you consider your higher power, your source, and just hoping that whatever is for the highest and best is what occurs. And letting go a little bit feels freeing. So for whatever that's worth, I hope that can be helpful to you today. And just sending all my love to you. And if you haven't picked up a copy of my new book, Empower Her, a memoir and a map to recovering from domestic abuse, I encourage you to do that. If you have picked it up, I'd love to know what your experience of it is. Please give me your honest review on Amazon. Whatever you feel like it has earned, I want you to give it that review. And if you have personal feedback you'd like to share with me, I would really welcome that as well. Thanks so much. All my love to you. Stay safe.